Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I'm a little bit disorganized this morning. I had a video all set to go where I talk about actually giving my car, my brand new car, and the car keys to somebody standing on the street corner that I didn't even know to use for the evening. And I have that video all set to go. But something, and you'll still see that video, but something, a news report came up on the news yesterday morning after I'd made that video. And, I saw the news report, and the link will be right down below so you can read it yourselves. And at first glance, it really wouldn't have much to do with me at all. It was a black gentleman that actually got in a car, a police car in New Haven, and drove it away. It was a running police car. And here's where it gets weird. There was actually a police officer sitting in the car, in the passenger seat. The story goes that there was the two officers, the partners, sitting in the car, and the driver got out to do a report. I'm not sure exactly where he was going into. So he left his partner sitting in the car in the passenger seat. And you actually see the video of this 49-year-old gentleman. His name's down below. This black gentleman going up to the car and kind of trying to talk through the window. And I believe that the police passenger, the officer, just wanted to talk to the, I think he unlocked the car. This is where I'm a little unclear. He unlocked, the guy was at the driver's door. And the 49-year-old gentleman opens the door, gets in, and drives away with the officer sitting in the passenger seat. Okay? And the officer tries to take control of the car back, and they go around the corner and they smash into the front of a church, and it ends there. And they found a glass pipe in the gentleman's pocket, and that's where it started to make me think. At first glance, if any of you see this news story, you're going to think this guy, obviously has mental difficulties. There's some kind of mental situation going on. He's not in reality. Because if you're going to steal a car, you're obviously not going to steal a police car, and a police car that's actually got a cop in it. It doesn't make any sense. It's not something a rational person would do. But I started to think back to when I was using. And the more I thought about it, the more it reminded me of the desperation and the hopelessness. Now, when I say those two words, unless you're involved in this world, or you're close to somebody involved in it, in addiction, you might not really understand the true depth of when I say desperation and hopelessness. Because I'm going to try to explain it to you guys in a second. But I've never felt such blackness, such desperation and hopelessness as I did in addiction. I mean, it gets to the point where you cannot, your mind like they like to say, your mind isn't your friend anymore. It gets to the point where you cannot think of anything else. You can't think of any other goal, any other thing. You can't read, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't talk to somebody, you can't carry on a conversation, because all that's going through your mind every second, every fraction of a second, constantly, is how do I get more of this? How do I get more of this? I need to get more of this. I need to get high. And that's still not even conveying how the desperation of this, of what it makes you feel like. Okay, like I said, so I have this video all set to go, and as you can see, my hair is still wet. I actually had dreams. I've been clean and sober since October 23rd of 2006. 17 years and coming up on, it's over 9 months. 17 years and 9 months. And I still have weekly dreams where I feel like I'm in addiction, where I'm purchasing something, or I have money, or something like that. And it seems like a desperate situation, like I have to get this or I have to get that. And I don't think they ever go away. This is just an idea of how deeply ingrained how scary it is to get involved in this stuff. Because I guess it never really leaves you. Like, I realize now that it's going to be a lifelong battle every day, that I have to fight this. I want to say this too. There's a couple other things that caught my attention with this. He's 49 years old. And for me, that's a specific number. I got clean when I was 40. But after I got clean, I lost my friends that kept using. I lost at least 6 of them from heart attacks, from addiction, from other by their own hand, at or right before 49 years old. Now, I know that's weird. I don't know if there's a, just as soon as I heard that number 49, it reminded me of this. Another thing I want to say too is today I keep busy. Like I took, back then when I was using, all my focus, I used so much time and energy. I mean, I would literally, we would have snowstorms and blizzards here, and I would literally walk through 18 inches, 24 inches of blowing snow in a blizzard. I've done this at night through the snow, down the center of the street, 5 miles to get $10 worth of rock, and then walk all the way back. And this will last all of not even 5 minutes, and then I start scheming on how to do it again. I've done that. I've actually done that, and I spent every day, and it gets to the point, you're spending all of your time, the time, it becomes like it's literally a 24-hour job, from the moment you fall asleep to the moment you wake up, from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, that's all you're thinking of. Just scheming, plotting, I got to get this. And your mind just doesn't, and the desperation and hopelessness that comes with that. Because at this point, you don't want it anymore, but you can't stop. And that's what I started thinking of this gentleman, because I left out this one part. So after they smash into the church, this gentleman, he's screaming at the police officer to shoot him. Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. He's saying that in the car, in the police car. The desperation that I heard in his voice, and then it started to click. What they found in his pocket. He wanted to end this living nightmare that he was in. I don't know this for sure. I don't know this guy. But the more I started to think about it, it reminded me a lot of the life that I was in. I remember going to this guy's house that we always used to use at, and it was a house, but it was a tiny little house. I mean, the living room was about 10 by 10, and then there was it opened up into a kitchen area that was maybe 15 by 10, and then there was a bathroom and a walk-in closet that I guess they called a bedroom. So the entire house was maybe 20 by 20 or 20 by 25 feet. And as soon as you walk in this house, it stank. It just reeked of body odor and sweat and smoke. And this is where I spent almost all my days, every day. I mean, even when I was working, I'd pull my flatbed truck up in front of this house, and I'd go in and I'd start making plans for when I got out of work with my check to go there after. And this house was empty of everything, because everything was traded and sold. This guy went to jail too for years. I've lost track of him now. I did a video talking about how one of the guys I used to work to use with tried to go into a house that was under construction, a $500,000 house with a rented truck, box truck, and they stole the refrigerator, the kitchen, the refrigerator, the stove, and the dishwasher, and put it. And then they started to drive out, and they ran into a police car on patrol right as they were leaving the house. And he did 7 years for this. And he was just in and out of jail. He's the guy that owned this house, that lived in this house. And I remember sitting there, and we're all sitting around the kitchen table, and the desperation and hopelessness. I mean, we were all supposedly friends, supposedly playing cards. There'd be beer. But every one of us, all we were thinking about was how we're going to get more, how we're going to get the next hit, how are we going to get more of this. And we would sit there and we wouldn't even talk. And this was just every day, day in and day out. I remember I'd leave there and my clothes stank. The stink would come with me. I remember walking into this house and there was a raid going on. I remember I pulled up in my car and I saw the police cars out in front. It was about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It was getting dark. And I saw about 6 police cars in front. And at this point, I figured they have somebody outside watching the place. So I'm like, oh, I got to go in now because they've already seen me. I'm sure they, police usually leave somebody outside as a lookout, for people coming in. And I walked to the door, and the police pulled me in. My friend was handcuffed in the kitchen. They ended up letting me go that day because I didn't have anything on me, but I just remember the desperation of sitting in that stinky kitchen day after day after day. And I mean, all you could think about is, how are we going to get more? How am I going to get more? What am I going to trade? What am I going to sell? How am I going to lie? And you can't sleep. You don't want to sleep. You don't want to eat. Sex, nothing takes your mind off this. It's just a constant focus on how to get more. Because each time you use these drugs, you go up the first time and you get euphoria. Because the drugs may shoot off the chemicals in your brain, the feel-good chemicals, and it's just like this, wow, it's like you're at Disney World on Christmas, your first time with a girl, on your birthday, winning the lottery. But then that's it. It only happens once, and then you go down. You run out, those drugs stop. The chemicals in your head run out, and you crash. And then it's like, I want to feel, and now you're below normal. Now you feel worse than usual. Now you feel desperation. You feel hopelessness. You feel focused. I gotta feel, I gotta get more of this. I just want to feel normal at least, because you just feel, I can't even describe this feeling to you. It's called the Jones. And it's just a constant, helpless focus on getting more, doing anything. Doesn't matter if you get shot, doesn't matter if you end up in jail. I have to get more of this. I have to stop this feeling. It's like you hear the term monkey on your back. This is, I could understand where this came from. And I see this gentleman taking this car, and then at the end of this, you hear him saying, just shoot me, and what they found in his pocket, and it all started to click. It's like, I understand this guy. I was this guy. It just gets to a point where, he's walking on the street and his mind is just focused on getting more. I got to get more. I got to do whatever it takes. And you do this every second of every day, of every minute of every day. You don't care what you're wearing. You don't care what you smell like. You don't care if your teeth are falling out. You don't care if your hair's on fire. I'm not kidding. You just got to get more. And you do this day in and day out, every minute, every second of every day. That's all your focus is on. And you become insane. You're like, I can't. I remember it got to a point where I'm like, just please let me pass in my sleep. Please. That would be great if I could just pass away in my sleep tonight. Because I cannot wake up and do this again tomorrow. I can't go through it. It's a living hell. And once you get it, you get that first buzz, and it's great. It's like, oh my God, I got to feel like that again. It's fantastic. Why didn't somebody tell me about this sooner? But that only happens one time. Nobody tells you that. Or if they do tell you that, you don't believe them because you're different. You're stronger. You got willpower. It won't happen to me. But it does. And it always does. It always does. It's a lie. If there is a devil, if there is a Satan, this is his pride and joy. This is what he created. Because the way this makes you lose hope and the desperation that comes with these drugs is just unfreaking believable. Now let me tell you about the good part. Since I've been clean and sober, I remember all that energy, all that time, all that focus that I used to take walking through the snow for 5 miles one way and 5 miles back the other way. How I did that, how I was focused on that, and I take that energy. I've joked around this before. If I could only use my powers for good instead of evil, well, that's what I do now. I get up at 2 a.m. or even before that to make these videos for you guys. As soon as I finish that, I make my breakfast at 3 a.m. I'm working out by 4 a.m. I work out until almost 10 a.m. walking, running, biking, every single day, 365 days a year. Then I actually start my work day where I start painting. I get on Etsy. I get on other art sales. It's not like now I'm getting ready for the fair season. I'm working on paintings. And I honestly work a good 15 hours every day. I have a schedule that I stick to. And people see me out on the street. They see me biking, walking. They see me biking from 2 towns over, 10 miles this way, then 10 miles back, every single day. Then they see me walking 6 miles on top of that, and they're like, I literally get people come up to me every day, and they're like, dude, you're so driven. I see you out there in the snow, in the rain, and you're in such good shape. I like props, dude. And I get this every day, and I tell them this. I tell them it keeps me out of trouble. I take that energy, that drive, that focus, all that. If I could do it then, why can't I do it now? Why can't I use that same energy, all that energy that I expended? Because I was physically able to do it then, and if I could do it then, I could do it now, and that's what I do every day now. And it literally keeps me out of trouble. It keeps me focused. Every day I actually build myself up. And the way I build myself up now, it's not something that just disappears in a few seconds, like the buzz of the drug I used. When I go to sleep at night, I'm exhausted, but I feel like I've accomplished something. I feel good about myself. I feel confident, and I know tomorrow is going to be an even better day. It's the exact opposite of who I used to be, when I prayed to die in my sleep. I hope this made sense to you. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating one little bit of this. The desperation and hopelessness that you fall into when you start using this stuff, it's a living hell on earth. And I mean that in the truest sense of the word. But recovery is possible. I've been clean and sober since October 23rd of 2006. Recovery is possible. Have a good Wednesday.